Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So as you can see, road conditions today aren't really favorable for a moto vlog, so let's do a Q&A video. Y'all stick around. Alright, I've got my MacBook Pro set up here next to me, that way I can read the questions, so let's get you guys some answers. I posted this on my last YouTube video as well as Instagram. So the Instagram post, it came before the video because I was just trying to see if anybody was actually interested in me doing this type of video. So anyway, let's read those questions first. The first one's going to be from Harley Day Rider, Mr. HDR, or your good friend HDR, I believe is what he says. Go check out his channel if you haven't. He's a super nice guy. Anyway, his question is, have you ever owned a dual sport bike? Yes, I have owned dual sport motorcycles before. The first one I had was a late 70s, early 80s Honda XR80, and that thing was a tank. Like, it was all metal, and it had the turn signals and brake light and everything like that, so I was able to ride it around my neighborhood before I could even drive the car. The next dual sport that I owned was a Honda XR250. I don't remember what year model it was, but I basically made it street legal. I put the turn signals and the headlight and everything on it, and it was a fun bike to ride, both off-road and on-road. And actually, speaking of dual sport bikes, like, my next bike purchase is more than likely going to be an adventure bike. They just released the Pan America, Harley did. I don't know that that's really the bike for me. I'll just have to kind of look around and see what fits me best. The next question is from BD Rider. He asked, is there any chance of riding with the new job? Well, from my last couple videos, if you haven't watched those yet, I actually quit the agency that I was working at, and I've now started working at a different agency and will soon be moving down closer to that agency. They don't currently have a motor unit. They did at one time as an instructor. I hope that that's something that they'd be willing to bring back. I understand that, you know, some people like motor units, some people don't. But hopefully by the time I end my career, I'll be back on two wheels again. The next question is from Ozark HD Riders. He actually posted on Instagram and YouTube, so I'm going to go ahead and answer both those questions. His question on Instagram basically asked, do you ride alone a lot, or does Mrs. Glide ride with you mostly? So I ride my bike primarily by myself a lot, because I ride everywhere. Like, I'll go to the grocery store on the bike, like, I mean, the post office, like, you know, wherever. And then even some of the small, like, day trips or something, Mrs. Glide doesn't always go. But I would say the majority of the time I'm by myself. Now, if it's a big trip, like this last year in 2020, we loaded up and went to Sturgis, South Dakota. She rode with me that whole time. I was surprised, but she went ahead and rode with me. And you guys can check those videos out. I will leave an iCard up above. The second question from Mr. Ozark's HD Riders was, are you going back to Sturgis this year? Well, with having the new job, probably not. I'm not really sure what my schedule is going to be like, and I really don't have the flexibility that I had in my previous job to be able just to take off whenever I want. So maybe I'll get a vacation this year, maybe I won't. We'll see. The next question is from PSP Tommy G, Mr. Tommy Gunn. He also asked, are you going to Sturgis and when? Well, just like the previous answer, probably won't be going to Sturgis this year, but I do plan on going back at some point. It might be, you know, a couple years down the road, but I definitely want to go back up there and see the rest of what I didn't get to see. The next question is from Pete Kenner. Are you going to Sturgis this summer? Pete, I'm probably not going to go this year. It'll probably be a couple years before I'm able to make that trip again, but you're going to have a great time. If you plan to go on and have a good time and be safe. This next question made me laugh, and I shouldn't be surprised with who it came from. Shaky wants to know, who has more Dixon flannel shirts, You or Dave from Dave and Angie's Adventures. I don't know how many Dixon Flannels Dave has, but I counted all mine up and I've got 11. My wife thinks that I have a problem, but I just think they're really great shirts. So Dave, if you've got more than 11 Dixon Flannels, leave me a comment down below and we'll talk. This next question is from Scott Piozzo. Scott, if I mispronounce your last name, I apologize, brother. But anywho, it's kind of a long question or paragraph, so I'll go ahead and paraphrase it for everybody else. He's talking about slow riding and making tight turns. He wants to know if it's natural to feel like the bike is going to fall even though you don't drop the motorcycle. He goes on to talk about how he challenges himself and tried to do a 90-degree pull out. So in short, yes, it is natural to feel like you're going to drop the bike at first. In one of my videos previously, I talked about how to do this 90-degree pull out. There's a couple steps involved, but with the steps, you're still in control of the motor, using clutch control, a little pressure on the rear brake, looking where you want to go. Whenever you're first starting to do these techniques and these moves, if you will, they're going to be awkward, and a lot of times it's going to be counterintuitive to what you think should be going on. But I promise you, if you follow the techniques as they're taught, then you guys will be able to do it. I had to drop a lot of motorcycles to find kind of that tipping point. So you've seen videos, or even my videos of me leaning the bike over and dragging floorboards. Like, it's okay to drag the floorboard, but you don't want to go much further, otherwise you're gonna lay the motor down. But it's all just a practice and confidence thing. Like I said, make sure you get your techniques right. Practice, 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 and it'll just be second nature to feel that bike leaning underneath you. Easy Rider Greg is talking about moving to the natural state. Well, he asked about the cost of living here, as well as a certain area of the state, the crime rate, and then also about if his motorcycle endorsement is going to transfer over. About the motorcycle endorsement, I think it transfers over. You just have to check with the DMV. But as far as the state of Arkansas, Arkansas is still considered a rural state, and cost of living here is still cheap. Like, even though the housing market right now is stupid, the actual cost of living is not that high compared to other places. So I think you'd still be saving some money from moving from Arizona to Arkansas. You asked about Sebastian County. Now, Sebastian County, I have never known it to be a high crime area. I mean, it's not like you're moving to Little Rock or Pine Bluff or West Memphis. I don't know how familiar you are with Arkansas, but it's populated over that way, but it's not like the capital city or close to another major city. Also, if you do move to that area, you have a lot of good rides. They're close in northwest Arkansas and down in the Ouachitas. Chuck Hansen says that he plans to come to Arkansas in late April, early May, and asked about the weather in northern Arkansas. Like, is it good enough to go riding? Absolutely. Things are just starting to warm up then. You may have to deal with occasional rain shower, but other than that, you should be good to go. I know there's some people that unless it's 80 degrees and sunshiny, they're not going to pull their bike out of the garage, but hey, to each their own. It should be a great time to come ride the natural state. Moto Ramblings had a really great question. He's talking about my job change and wanted to know if I had any regrets or if any changes have came to my family now through this process. I can't honestly fully answer this question yet, since we're still in the process of getting moved and adjusted to all this stuff, but I can say that some good things have come from it so far. Switching to a different department, having to get back into shape, and losing 40 pounds did a lot of good for me. Like, trust me, I don't like it, and there was a lot of times that I'm like, I really don't want to do this today, but I did it, and it's paid off in the long run. Just like I know that this whole transition is going to pay off in the long run. It's not the greatest right now. Things are all new, but in the end, it's going to be worth it. So I want to say thank you to Moto Ramblings for the encouraging comment. Chig7391 really made me put some thought into answering his question. He asked what my top 5 favorite rides were in Arkansas. There's a lot to choose from here, but I think I've come up with 5 good ones. First on the list would have to be Talamina Scenic Byway. It's over in western Arkansas and goes into southeast Oklahoma. And essentially, you're riding the ridge of the Kiamichi Mountains between two states. It's you just one of those places, like, you get it on video, but like video doesn't really capture the whole experience, because it's really neat, because it's like you'll be riding up, across one hill, but then you'll see the road, curving down to the bottom, and then like curving back up to the next ridge or peak, and it's just an awesome experience. Number 2 would have to be Arkansas Highway 215 from the community of Cass over to the community of Owerk. Now, whenever you get to Owerk, go to the general store, make sure you ask them for a cheeseburger and a slice of pie. So good. Another cool thing about Arkansas Highway 215 is it parallels the Mulberry River, so it's very scenic, in my opinion. And it comes off of the pig trail, so if you wanted to ride the pig trail, which everybody, that's coming here is like, you got to ride the pig trail. The pig trail is cool, but I think there are better rides in Arkansas. So check out 215. Number 3 would be Push Mountain Road. Push Mountain Road is located in the central northern portion of the state, and basically runs you from about, that's north of Mountain View, but up around to North Fork, and it's a really curvy, winding road through the forest up there. And the event that they have there at Mountain View, called Mountains, Music, and Motorcycles, during the summer, that's kind of their ride that they push while you're up in that area. A lot of fun. Number 4 would be the Ozark Moonshine Run. If you never heard of that run, I'm going to leave a link in the comments down below of basically our state tourism website. They have motorcycle routes, and you'll find this route on there. However, I would add to that route that you need to detour over to Jasper, Arkansas, and eat at Ozark Cafe. Anything there is good. You notice I started talking about motorcycle trips, and then I'm starting to talk about food. They just go hand in hand. It's just part of the experience. So make sure you check out those places. And number 5, I would have to say the route up to Pill Ferry. There's a lot of different ways to get there, but just take the 2-lane state highway roads up there, and you'll enjoy the curves. And then plus, it's not so much that it's a great ride, but it's just an experience. So it's like, you pull up to Bull Shoals Lake, and then you have to ride the ferry across, and you're basically in Missouri once you get to the other side of the lake. But going into Missouri, the roads over there were really nice as well. So definitely something to check out. James Dinsmore wants to know, what was the hardest skill that I had to learn or master, and how often do I practice? For me, probably the hardest thing was making transitions. Being able to lean and lay the motorcycle to one side, and then be able to switch directions and turn to another side whenever doing like these cone patterns and cone courses. I've learned that it was basically my clutch control. As long as you have proper clutch control, you're able to whip that bike just about anywhere you want to. To answer your question about how often I practice, I try to practice every time that I ride. No, I don't set up cones every time I go ride, but making those tight turns and making sure that you're looking where you want to go, and practicing proper, clutch control, brake control, throttle control, something that you can do every time you ride your bike. 9mm James wants to know how many miles I currently have on my bike, and if I've ever had any issues out of it. I currently have, 43,806 miles on it currently. I have had a few issues with the bike. It's probably, it was the first year I had the bike. I was going to Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, and the night before I headed out, I decided that I was going to hand wash the bike and, get it all shined up and looking good for the rally. Well, I got water in the little trigger switch, and that caused me a check engine light and all that fun stuff until the switch dried out. But after it dried, I didn't have any problems with it. Last year, going to Sturgis, I hit a traffic cone that was thrown out in front of me and busted my oil cooler, so I had to pay my Sturgis tax and get that fixed, which wasn't terrible, but still. I had a fork seal that was leaking because the people that owned the bike before me apparently didn't put everything back together properly whenever they powder coated everything, because I have the black motor and black parts and stuff on my bike, but that's before Harley Davidson started doing it, because it's a 15 model. And then I also had a shift linkage. There was one day I was going to the store or something, and I used a hill shifter, and so I pushed down to change gears, and my shifter went all the way to the floorboard, and I thought, that doesn't feel right. And I looked down, and I could see all the linkage and everything flopping, so I did have to replace those parts. But that's kind of a known issue with that touring model from what I'm reading online. Sinister Clutch gave me 4 questions to answer, so let's pick those apart one at a time. His first question was asking if I am planning on attending Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue this year. Honestly, I don't know if I'll be there this year or not. I hope that I can be there, but with having this new job, we'll just have to see if I can get off or not. His second question is asking if I'm thinking about any upgrades for my bike. Pretty well, I've customized or upgraded just about everything on my bike. So the only thing I haven't touched is the stereo system. So I'd like to put an amp and then some different speakers in the bike, so that way I can hear it over those Tab Performance mufflers in that Stage 4. Another one of his questions was, do you ever moto camp? Yes, I do moto camp. I haven't been in a while because of, life, but I love to camp. There's a lot of camping and hiking places here in the States, so it's something I definitely enjoy doing. We might have to do a collab video one of these days. And his last question is, do I have any trips planned? No, not this year. If I had any trips planned, it would be Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, because I don't foresee going on some big exotic vacation this year. We did Sturgis 2020 last year, and so that'll probably be the top vacation for at least a year or two while we get settled in. Digital Mischief had a question, wanting to know if I noticed any major differences between an electric glide and the street glide, talking about like the comfort and the handling of the motorcycle. Yes, technically they're both touring bikes, but to me it's like comparing apples to oranges. You have the street glide, which is your touring bike that you're going to want to kick back and crush big miles on, and then you have your electric glide, which is you're going to want to take and go to work on it. The electric glides that I rode, they didn't have touring seats on them. Some people have electric glides with touring seats, but anyway, we had what we refer to as a tractor seat. And what that is it's a solo seat that has an air shock underneath it and naturally pushes the rider forward closer to the tank to help with the center of gravity for the motorcycle. Now you'll notice that even if I'm on my street glide, crushing the big miles, if I need to make a slow speed maneuver in a parking lot, or if I need to avoid something, well, you're naturally going to see me pull myself forward up onto that tank, because I can take the things that I learned while riding an electric glide and then use it on the street glide. So I'm not going to say that there's really a difference in the handling. It's just I know that if I'm further up on that seat, I can control that bike a whole lot better than kick back like when I'm running down the interstate. They're both comfortable bikes to ride, but if you're not going to ride an electric glide on a tractor seat 1,000 miles to Sturgis, I'm going to want the street glide with that side on the seat for that. So anyway, I hope that answered your question. Guys, thanks for giving me questions to answer in this video. It kind of worked out. I wasn't expecting to have, Snowpocalypse 2021 this time of year. But anyway, if you have any more questions, be sure to leave them down in the comment section down below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if this is your first time seeing my channel, make sure you click that subscribe button before you get out of here. As always, y'all ride safe, and I'll see y'all in the next video.